numbers and statistics show that crime is lower than any time in recent history. But numbers are no substitute for a feeling and trust of safety. And that's why this leadership is so very important. People have to know and trust and be confident that the city of Bridgeport, state and federal governments are doing everything they can to make them safe from this kind of mindless, senseless, random harm inflicted by someone who obviously had no respect for life or safety. And I am here to say that I believe the people of Bridgeport deserve real safety and not just the security that comes with objective measures, but also a trust that comes from knowing that they can stand in front of their houses and in the parks and neighborhoods, parking lots, playgrounds, and that there is real safety that they can count on. Finally, let me say, whoever shot and killed Bonnie McNeil should be brought to justice. And I will support and advocate this investigation by the Bridgeport Police and other law enforcement involved, and will make sure that federal resources are available, if necessary and appropriate, to help in this investigation and the pursuit of any individuals who are responsible for this heinous, horrific crime.
There's a huge loophole that the senators worked tirelessly to close. It's called the gun show loophole. There are no background checks, and about 40% of the weapons in the United States are bought without a background check because there's a loophole. Ridiculously, as ridiculous as it sounds, there's a loophole that if you buy at a gun show, you don't have to do a background check. So where do criminals go buy guns without background checks? At gun shows, and they're all throughout the country. We need common sense legislation. We need the media, when these events happen, to help us get that message out so that Congress wakes up. You know, the president's ready to sign a bill for background checks, for large capacity magazine bans, for assault weapon bans, for licensing and registration of firearms. You can be for the Second Amendment like the senator and I are for, but you could also be for reasonable background checks so that these kinds of people that pull the trigger and create these heinous acts do not have access to weapons of war. Most of this technology that's being used on our streets and our parks and in our parking lots is technology that was not invented for sport or for target practice or for even personal protection. This is technology that was invented to protect our country during times of war, and it has no place in civilized society other than in an act of war. And we've got to do something to protect our citizens from these things. And I know the senator is here today because he's passionate about this, and they want to add another point about that.
Anybody who has any question about the need for gun violence prevention, come to Bridgeport today. And
talk to the people here,
and you will see
trouble gardens,
a city and a neighborhood that stands foursquare for keeping guns out of the hands of dangerous people. If anything, this picture shows why we need to redouble our efforts to keep guns out of the hands of dangerous people, whether they are criminals or thugs or gang members. Common sense background checks, requirements for licensing handguns so that we know who has them, are the law of states like Connecticut, but Connecticut alone can't do it because guns have no respect for boundaries. Boundaries are porous when it comes to gun trade. Yeah, glaring people can allow criminals and dangerous people to have guns, no matter how good the local leadership and law enforcement. Gun violence still requires strong federal protection to prevent crime, protect against gun violence. And nobody wants to take away guns from law-abiding citizens. They need them for hunting or recreation. and they deserve them under the statute. And the Constitution, the Second Amendment, gives them that
What we're
right.
talking about right now is violent crime. I think the issue that we're talking about right now is the proliferation of illegal weapons throughout this city, especially in the hands of young men who believe that the only way to settle their differences is by using those guns. We need to address that issue as best we can. Crime in this city continues to go down. It's gone down every year that I've been chief here. We're down almost 18%. If the issue was staffing in the Bridgeport Police Department, then crime wouldn't be down. The issue here is the proliferation of illegal weapons used by young men who have motivation to use them to settle petty differences. So we need to address that as a community. The police department can't do that alone. But together with the senator, the federal government, the Bridgeport Housing Authority, our mayor, and the citizens of Trumbull Gardens and the citizens of Bridgeport, we can make a difference. We can change people's behavior. We can reduce fear.